Hello, I'm Andy Morgan. I head up Laser's carbon and energy management areas. I've been doing energy management for about 30 years, so I'm very much a carbon and energy management generalist. Moving on to our presentation today. First off, the agenda. So today we'll be covering firstly team introductions, and we'll tell you a little bit more about our organisation, scope of the framework and structure of the framework, which I'll cover off, and then some details of the bidder requirements, and a bit more of the detailed structure of the framework and how you bid and the timescales. We'll take about 20 minutes in all, and slides are obviously available for reference. So there'll be two of us speaking today, myself and Mike. I'll cover the first half of the presentation and Mike will pick up the second. So a little about us. I lead the division providing Laser's carbon reduction services, including frameworks. I'm 30 years in the carbon and energy saving industry in both public and private sector. So I'm a carbon reduction generalist, really.
Hi, I'm Mike Kennedy-Gill. I am the Framework Strategy Manager for Laser Energy. My background is commercial strategy and procurement within the public sector, predominantly within the construction and zero carbon sectors.
Moving on to the organisation, a little background about us. Laser is part of the Commercial Services Group, which is a group of businesses wholly owned by Kent County Council. The roots of CSG, the Commercial Services Group, started around 75 years ago and is now a diverse and growing set of services covering everything from waste management to procurement frameworks to supply of goods to schools to recruitment and HR services. Laser sit in the Energy and Environment division, and I'll tell you a little bit more about Laser in a moment. So this Commercial Services Group has a diverse set of businesses, as you can see, but the thing which unites us is that we all serve the public sector and have a deep understanding of that sector. So a little more about Laser as an introduction. So the Laser team consists of around 120 people located across the UK, although our HQ is in Kent. Historically, our core business is the procurement and management of energy contracts. So we manage energy on behalf of around 200 public bodies, including around a third of all the councils across the country. Also schools and blue light, so police and fire, for example, NHS trusts and universities, as well as some pseudo-public sector like the Bank of England. In total, it's about £2.6 billion worth of gas and electricity that we've procured on behalf of customers in the past 3 years, covering around 40,000 sites or 90,000-ish energy meters. And over the past 5 years, we've focused heavily on supporting public bodies on their journey to net zero with consultancy advice, project management and procurement frameworks like the one that we're introducing today. So a little more about the framework, talking about the scope and the objectives of the framework. So we've got 5 key points really as our objectives. Compliant procurement, that's kind of the underpinning, that's what it's all about. It's about providing a compliant procurement route. When we talk about compliance, we're talking about the public contract regulations here, so making it easier for councils to procure. Streamlined engagement, so making it easier for solar providers to sell to the public sector. We know it's not always easy to engage with public sector, so this framework and our support is intended to make things a little bit easier for suppliers. Customer appeal. Again, we know public bodies are not necessarily always the most attractive customers to providers. So we support public bodies with making themselves a bit more attractive and understanding what the supply market wants and needs. Community impact, obviously, this is all about carbon savings, but also we've got social value is our scoring element of the framework and something that public bodies really care about too. And finally, value for money. So it's not all about a race to the bottom for the cheapest price. We'll set this framework up in a way that appropriately balances price and quality. So a high-level description of the framework. Mike will fill in more details on this, but just at a high level, it's a 4-year framework, fairly standard. Although the framework is 4 years long, you can let contracts underneath the framework which are longer. So, for example, it could be a 10 or 15-year PPA-funded solar project, which is allowable under the 4-year framework agreement. It's a traditional framework, and by that we mean it's not a dynamic purchasing system, which is not a common option. And the key point about that is that it allows direct award of contracts. We know that lots of our customers and certainly the supply industry really favour that direct award option rather than the alternative, which is to mini tender every single opportunity. Diverse technology scope, so it's not just about rooftop solar, and I'll go into that a little bit more in a moment. It covers a wider range. And market access to innovative funding. What we mean there is we're going to include a lot about power purchase agreements or other finance for solar. And as we understand it, there aren't any other frameworks out there which overtly allow and promote procurement of power purchase agreements. So this is a bit of a first. So into the framework technologies. So as shorthand, we've been calling this the rooftop solar framework, but it's not just about rooftop solar. We'll include ground mount as well, although we're probably thinking about, maybe 1 or 2 megawatt up to 1 or 2 megawatt, and direct wire rather than grid connected. So nothing stopping grid connecting being procured through this framework. But it's probably intended for kind of suppliers that would do the smaller end of that rather than big solar farms. Also, as you can see, solar car parks, carports, batteries, EV charge points, and then smart grids. So connecting all those things together. So all of these technologies will be covered under the framework. So to cover off the framework lot descriptions, as I mentioned, it's divided into lots. Actually 5 lots. I'll go through them one by one. So lot 1 is supply only, aimed at wholesalers and suppliers of solar equipment. Lot 2, aimed at installer only businesses. Now the purpose of lots 1 and 2 is really for Laser to use if we further develop our capability to front and deliver solar projects. We currently do that in LED lighting projects, i.e. we front them and we are the supplier as far as the customer is concerned. And we want the option to assist in that way with solar in the future. Lot 3, more traditional supply and install, end-to-end rooftop solar. Lot 4, similar to lot 3, but this is the one where we provide the opportunity for those suppliers that are capable of delivering more specialist solutions, such as solar carports or ground mount, or battery systems and combined smart grids, etc. So if you're a supplier that's capable of doing those more specialist areas, then lot 4 is the one for you. Lot 5 is intended to bring finance to the option. So this is the one for PPA providers or partnerships with PPA. So yeah, we anticipate this lot appeals to 2 types of bidder. So the first might be very large organisations who can offer both finance and install from a single organisation. And the second type would be organisations who have partnered. So typically that might be an installer and a finance provider that are working together to bring their skills to projects. And in that second situation of partnership type of arrangement, we encourage consortium bids to the lot. So where both parties are named in the bid and appear on the framework as consortium bidders. So the regulations allow consortium bidders to partner in any way they wish. We don't need to see the nature of your relationship other than to know that you're bidding together as a consortium. So that concludes my element. I'll hand over to Mike now to give you more details on the structure of the framework and timing, etc. Thank you.
So thanks, Andy. I will now go through the structure and the fundamentals of the agreement. So the framework involves three contracting parties. Those are Laser Energy as the contracting authority, who contract with you as a supplier. Clients or participating authorities engage with the framework by completing an access agreement. They will then in turn contract with yourselves, establishing a project contract, which is a set of terms specific to the project requirements, typically using a JCT standard contract. How they do that is through two different routes that are available to them: a mini or further competition or a direct award. A mini competition is a further condensed procurement exercise requiring suppliers to bid for the client's projects. A direct award is an option for a client to select one supplier from the framework to award a project to without the need for multiple bids. Direct awards are also an effective marketing tool for suppliers on the framework to promote to their prospective clients to secure business via the framework. All direct awards require a robust client justification to satisfy themselves that they are procuring a value for money solution. There are three different service level types available to clients through the framework. They are self-service, managed procurement, and a fully managed service. Self-service suits clients who know what they want and don't require additional support with their specification, supplier selection, or supplier management. Alternatively, they may already have a relationship with a supplier and want a route to direct award business to that supplier. A managed procurement service is for clients who can manage the supplier but need further support with the mini competition and or selection process. And finally, a fully managed service provides clients with a partner, i.e. Laser Energy, to advise and support them throughout the entire project lifecycle from start to finish. So what's required of a bidder to bid on this framework? The evaluation for the framework will be based on bidders' responses to questions focused on the above themes. 70% of the overall evaluation will be based on responses to quality questions, 10% of which is directly attributed to social value. The remaining 30% is based on cost. For lot 1, a product list will be provided to price against, and for all other lots, pricing is focused purely on a bidder's overheads and profit margin. The evaluation for pricing will be therefore based on a market-reflective pricing and not lowest price. The median price submitted for lots 2, 3, 4, and 5 will be the scoring 100%. Pricing is going to be reviewed annually from April 2026, and we'll be using the CPI indexation to review pricing. With regards to data and management reporting, suppliers will be responsible for providing management information pertaining to the framework on a monthly basis. Management information will relate to monthly spend value, performance against KPIs, customer feedback, and social value activity. The fees for the framework are charged on a quarterly basis and are calculated based on a fixed fee plus a percentage of each project value. More detail will be provided within the tender package on this. So what are the key benefits of the framework to you as a bidder? By bidding for and securing a place on the framework, suppliers will access an expansive client base that Laser Energy currently manages. Laser adopts a well-established relationship management function, as well as a sales and marketing team to build on our existing relationships, as well as growing new business opportunities for our framework suppliers to bid against and secure their own business. These organizations span the public sector, and they include local authority, education, health, and blue light customers. The framework provides for national coverage. However, the southeast of the United Kingdom remains Laser's heartland. Laser are currently delivering approximately 1 megawatt of solar energy this year and have a healthy pipeline of 2 megawatts of solar energy to be procured and delivered next year. We do anticipate that this framework will generate many more business opportunities, as well as successful bidders also bringing their own opportunity pipeline to the framework and providing their clients with compliant routes to procure their services. By being a supplier on this framework, suppliers will access the previously mentioned client base and a multi-million pound pipeline of public sector solar PV projects. Organisations are able to promote their position on this framework as a further avenue for them to grow their own business and service their client needs, again offering a direct award via an approved public procurement compliant framework. With regards to the fundamental timescales for the agreement, the tender is due to be released this year, no later than February 21st. Tenderers are then due to be returning their With regards to the fundamental timelines for the agreement, the tender is due to be released no later than February 21st this year. Tenderers are due to be, With regards to the fundamental agreement timelines, the tender is due to be released no later than February 21st this year. Tenders are to be returned no later than March 21st. We anticipate completing all evaluations by no later than April the 18th, and then formally awarding the contract by April the 28th. The anticipated go-live date for the framework and when clients can start accessing the agreement and awarding business is approximately June the 23rd. The framework will run for a 4-year period up to June 2029. However, there is an option to extend that by a further year. To bid on this framework, all suppliers who are interested should express an opportunity via emailing the frameworks@laserenergy.org. If suppliers are interested in bidding on this framework, they must email and express their interest to frameworks@laserenergy.org.uk, preferably quoting Laser Rooftop Solar Framework within the email subject. By doing so, suppliers will be added to a mailing list for further updates, which will include any FAQs. Should suppliers have any questions, they're requested to submit those questions in writing to the previously mentioned email address, frameworks@laserenergy.org.uk, no later than February the 10th. Please note that any emails sent to the framework's email address once the tender has been issued cannot be responded to. Laser will be using the Delta e-sourcing procurement portal to manage the tendering exercise. All organisations who wish to bid must first register as a business on the portal in order to access the tender documentation. No tender documentation will be published via email. If suppliers have registered their interest in the opportunity, they will then be issued with an access code to receive the tender documents via the procurement portal. Should you have any immediate questions or wish to register your interest as a bidder, please email both myself, Mike Kennedy Gill, and Paige Hibbert, the Framework Manager, on the frameworks@laserenergy.org.uk email address. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the webinar, and we hope that you're interested in learning more about the opportunity and bidding to become an approved supplier on this framework.